Hey guys, happy Thursday. So, for today's reading lesson, we are going to be reading All in a Day again. And I hope you guys are really enjoying that little book. So, let's do a little bit of a review really fast because I feel like we've done a lot of new stuff this week. We've learned that our characters are our people or animals in our story, or who is in our story, and that they have thoughts and they have actions. They do things. We've also learned this week that the setting is where and when our story takes place. And we learned that we could look at the illustrations to kind of get an idea about where and when our story is taking place, or the setting. Like if we see a sun, we know it's daytime. If we see trees, we know we're outside. So we use our illustrations to help us figure out the setting. And then in the past couple of weeks, we've been working on the events of our story, which is everything that happens in a story, everything that our characters are doing. That's our events. And we've done a lot of those 5-finger retells where we talk about 5 different events that happen in the story. And then we have also talked about how to tell those events in order using those sequencing words, right? First, this happened. Next, this happened. Then this happened. After that, this happened. And finally, this happened. So we talk about how the characters and the settings and the events, we use those to retell our stories to people so that they know, without reading it, what happened in the story and how interesting it was. So, for example, in Little Red Riding Hood, do you guys know that story? It's about Little Red Riding Hood, and she meets a wolf on the way to Grandma's house, and then the wolf finds the grandma first, and Little Red Riding Hood has to go ask for help. So, the characters in Little Red Riding Hood are Little Red Riding Hood, the big bad wolf, the grandmother, and the hunter, or the woodsman. Those are our characters. That's who is in our story. Then our story takes place, or the setting of our story of Little Red Riding Hood is the forest and at Grandma's house. There's 2 different settings. Stories can maybe have one setting or they can have many settings. Just depends on the story. And then I counted 5 events of Little Red Riding Hood. So I wrote them down. 5 things happened. This was 5 events or details of Little Red Riding Hood. First, Little Red Riding Hood sets off to visit her grandmother. Then she meets the big bad wolf. After that, the big bad wolf finds grandmother. Oh no, that can't be good. Next, Little Red Riding Hood finds the big bad wolf with grandmother. And then finally, or the last thing that happened, was that Little Red Riding Hood ran to the woodsman, or the hunter, for help. So I gave you my characters, my setting, and then I gave you 5 events of the story. That was a whole retelling. Even if you hadn't read Little Red Riding Hood, you would have a good idea about who's in the story and where it's taking place and all of the things that are happening, or all of the events. So what you guys are going to do today is you're going to retell All in a Day because you've read it 4 times now. So you have a really good idea about what All in a Day is about. So first, you're going to say the characters of your story. You're going to name everyone who's in All in a Day. And then you're going to say the setting. Now there are different settings in All in a Day, right? Because you guys did the chart yesterday where you wrote down each setting and then you explained how you knew from the illustration what the setting was. So you already have all those settings written down somewhere. So you're going to say the characters, the setting, and then you're going to do your 5-finger retell. So 1 event for each finger. And then I want you to really remember and try to focus on using your sequencing words from that too, because you guys have had a lot of practice. So first this happened, then this happened, all the way to the end, finally this happened. So we're going to do a whole retell, not just events. We're going to do the characters, the setting, and then 5 events from the story. And you can retell this to anyone in your house, your grandma, your brother, your dog, your pet fish, anyone, okay? So I really hope that this is a good story for you guys and that you can retell the story because you've read it so many times. So just a little review. We're going to say the characters of All in a Day. Who is in our story? We're going to say the setting, which is where and when the story takes place. And then we're going to say one event from the story for each finger. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 events from the story. So we're going to have our characters, our setting, and 5 events. All right, guys, good luck.